Back now to the race for governor. Yesterday, you picked Rick Snyder as the GOP nomination for governor.
This morning on Daybreak, we're talking to him live. And 24-Hour News 8's Mark Thompson's in Ypsilanti with the gubernatorial candidate. Mark?
Yeah, Brett and Emily, good morning. We are here outside the Marriott Hotel in Ypsilanti with the Republican victor in his bid for governor. Victory party here last night. Rick Snyder, first of all, congratulations and thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thanks. Happy to be with you.
Let's get right to it. You're not a career politician, not much experience in politics. What do you think is going to separate you from the other candidates moving forward?
Well, in some ways, you just said it. Because our culture in the state at the political level is broken, in my view. So not having experience is actually a plus. We need to get back to common sense, real-world solutions. And the other thing is I'm the proven job creator in this race. I've been out there creating jobs for years and very proud of it.
Now, your opponent coming up on the Democratic side, Bernero, he came out swinging last night. Even in his victory speech, he says that he's not afraid to meet you coming up in November. He also is challenging your record on job creation. How do you respond to that? And again, is that something that's going to separate you?
Well, I'm the proven job creator here. My record's clear. I've been very successful. And more important to that, the way I look at it, it's not about running against someone. It's about running for Michigan. Because we've had enough bickering and sound bites. It's time to bring Michiganders together. We need to solve problems. We need to succeed. So this is about Michiganders working and winning together.
Now, here's a question that was posed by our political reporter Rick Albin last night. You were not necessarily endorsed by some of the more conservative wing of the Republican Party. How will you gain their support moving forward as you move into November?
Well, as you looked at the results last night, we had great conservative support. We had support from across the board. And that's the attitude we need. Now I'll be making lots of conversations and calls to people from all over the political spectrum to say, let's get on board, let's go. This is about reinventing Michigan.
Now, you made your mark in business. Gateway is kind of what you're known for. Some people would say that running a successful business may not necessarily translate into managing state government. How would you respond to that?
Well, it's not exactly the same. You don't have profit as a motive. But in government, we've been missing something we've had in business for decades. And that's actually having goals, outcomes, measurements, and really performing. Because our government today is far too much about spending billions of dollars on lots of activities and not showing real results. Let's deliver real results for real people.
Your opponents in the primary, Pete Huckstra, also Mike Cox. What do you think was the difference there?
Well, as I was saying, we ran a clean, positive campaign about reinventing Michigan's future. The career politicians ran a more typical campaign. They're good, well-intentioned people, though. But it's time for a real change, a new attitude in our state about bringing people together and being successful together. I'm excited. Let's reinvent Michigan.
And now you spent close to $6 million thus far. You've come up with some catchy slogans, one tough nerd. Anything that you've got saved in the bag coming up for moving forward into November?
Well, we're just going to continue the path we've been on. It's been very successful, and hopefully people now view a nerd in a better light. It's about being thoughtful, hardworking, and most importantly, solving problems. Let's stop the sound bites and the bickering.
Any thoughts on Lieutenant Governor right now? Maybe Pete Huckstra, your former challenger.
Oh, we'll be looking at that issue going forward now. I didn't spend a lot of time on that. We were really focused on the primary.
Has he asked you about that? Have you talked to him about that?
No, I just had a very nice conversation with all the various candidates about the election last night.
Okay, well, Rick Snyder, thank you so much for your time this morning, and I'm sure that we'll be hearing from you more as we move forward and get closer to November. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Brett and Emily, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. Really interesting stuff coming there from the nominee for the Republican Party, Rick Snyder. And coming up,
we're going to talk to Bernero. That's coming up around 6:40 this morning, so stay tuned for that.
We'll have him live here on Daybreak as well.
Continuing our coverage now, the race for governor, Lansing Mayor Bernero winning the Democratic nomination.
He's talking live to our Detroit affiliate, WDIV. Let's listen in now.
But I'm excited about Michigan's future. The voters are going to be offered a real choice here between Rick Snyder and myself. I'm excited about them learning more about me and my record of job creation and his job-killing record. As voters, as the campaign unfolds, as they get to know us both, you're going to see a clear, very clear choice.
Okay, let's talk about the job of governor. We've seen this state go through a serious financial crisis. We saw a temporary state government shutdown just a couple of years ago. How do you solve that crisis as governor? Through cuts or through taxing.
Well, let me tell you this. If we don't get manufacturing back, if we don't start to put the P back in GDP, gross domestic product, if we don't make things in Michigan, then it's going to be a continued downward spiral.
That doesn't answer my question, though.
You got
get there
it, because
by tax cuts?
Because it's not a 20-second soundbite. The reality is I'm talking about what people need, what people know. We need to make things in Michigan. That's what made this state great, and that's what's going to make us great again. I'm going to have a strategy, a Main Street Michigan agenda, which puts people first, which puts manufacturing back on the table, domestic manufacturing, and fair trade, which means American jobs.
Okay, some people say you won this primary because of your backing from big labor, including the UAW. Are you beholden to them? Is that going to be a liability
you know what?
for you?
What is big labor? Labor has been shrinking in this country. What are you talking about, big labor?
The machine of labor in politics.
I don't know what people... You know what? I'll take the machine of labor over the machine of corporate America that's killing us and outsourcing our jobs any day. I'm beholden to the working people of this state, and we're going to put working people first. This economy has not been working for average people. State government has not been working for average people. It will with the Bernero administration.
Some pundits are also saying, and I know you don't like the pundits, most politicians don't, but it's a liability for you to follow Jennifer Granholm out of office as the Democrat, that it's your race to win and Rick Snyder's race to lose.
The pundits ain't worth a bucket of warm spit. The pundit said I was 20 points down. The pundit said I didn't have a chance. I'm working on behalf of the people. The people knew better, and they'll know who's on their side by the time they vote on November 2nd.
Okay, before I let you go, we have to ask you, because we asked Rick Snyder a half an hour ago, debates, how many debates will you commit to, and will you do one here on Local 4?
Oh, you better believe it. I tried to get you guys to do a debate with my opponent in the primary. So, absolutely, look, let's have at least 8 around the state. Let's start with that. 8 televised debate. Let's give voters a real choice. I'll essentially debate him anytime, anywhere. I'll debate him in his mother's living room. There's a real choice between Rick Snyder and me, and the public deserves to know.
Virg Bernero, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Guy and Rhonda, back to you.
All right, you've been listening to coverage from WDIV as they were talking to Virg Bernero, and I'll tell you, this election cycle is going to be fun.
Yes.
After watching that interview right there.
Calling for 8 live televised debates. We'll see if that comes true.
May not have much of a chance for that. We'll be looking into it because, of course, Rick Snyder didn't have any debates, didn't participate in the ones that we even held here at Wood TV.
Yeah.
My favorite line, though, the pundits ain't worth a bucket of spit.
A bucket of warm spit.